In every room, the smartest voice isn't always the loudest. It's the one that speaks with calm, clarity, and control. Words can win opportunities or lose them in seconds. And in a fast world, your ability to think quickly and speak smartly is your greatest advantage. This book will teach you how to stay composed under pressure, speak with confidence, and turn communication into your greatest skill. Stay till the end. And don't forget to subscribe, because what you'll learn here will forever change how you think, speak, and connect. Chapter 1. The Psychology of Quick Thinking. Quick thinking isn't luck. It's clarity under pressure. When the moment hits, when the question comes unexpectedly, when the silence in the room suddenly turns toward you, your ability to respond clearly decides how people see you. Some freeze. Some ramble. Some stay calm. Why? Because quick thinking is not born in that moment. It's trained long before it. It's the product of mental discipline, emotional control, and deep awareness. You can't think fast if your mind is cluttered. You can't speak smart if your emotions are louder than your thoughts. The truth is, your brain already knows what to say. But fear, doubt, and overthinking block the flow. That's why some people stay silent, even when they know the right answer. Their brain works. Their confidence doesn't. Quick thinking begins with calm. When your mind is steady, your thoughts move freely. When you panic, they scatter. It's not about being faster. It's about being clearer. You think faster when you're not trying to impress anyone. You speak smarter when you're focused on clarity, not approval. Pressure is not the enemy. Your reaction to it is. In high-stress moments, the body wants to protect you. Your heart races. Your breathing shortens. Your brain shifts into survival mode. But survival mode doesn't create brilliance. It creates defense. You can't sound confident while your mind is running from fear. So the first step to mastering quick thinking is mastering calm. Breathe. Pause. Let silence be your space, not your enemy. People rush to fill silence because they fear judgment. But silence gives you control. It gives your mind time to align before your mouth speaks. Confidence grows in stillness, not in speed. The brain processes language in patterns. When you're calm, it organizes. When you're anxious, it fragments. So slowing down for 1 second actually makes you respond faster, because your thoughts find order before they find words. The psychology of quick thinking starts with awareness. You must know what triggers your stress. Some people panic under authority. Some freeze in front of crowds. Some lose clarity when emotions rise. Identify yours. The more aware you are of your triggers, the less power they hold. Quick thinkers don't avoid pressure. They practice inside it. They simulate discomfort until it feels normal. They train the mind to stay clear even when emotions roar. That's what separates natural speakers from nervous ones. Quick thinking is also emotional balance. You can't think sharply when you take things personally. You can't respond wisely when you feel attacked. Emotion hijacks logic, and logic is what creates flow. In those moments, remember, not every statement needs defense. Not every challenge needs proof. Sometimes the smartest response is patience. The brain always wants to protect your ego, but protection kills presence. And presence is what makes quick thinking possible. People often say, "I think of the perfect response hours later." That's not because they didn't know what to say. It's because fear blocked their access to that clarity in the moment. Training your mind for quick thinking means practicing emotional detachment. Stay engaged, but not reactive. Stay aware, but not defensive. It's like watching a wave without drowning in it. Observe the emotion. Don't become it. When you master that separation, your thoughts stay organized, even when the world feels chaotic. Another pillar of quick thinking is self-trust. Your brain is fast, but your doubt is faster. Every hesitation is a doorway closing. Every moment of "what if I'm wrong" silences a confident idea. Quick thinkers trust their instincts. They know not every word will be perfect, but every word will move them forward. Perfection is slow. Progress is fast. In communication, confidence is more powerful than precision. People don't remember your grammar. They remember your energy. They remember how certain you sounded when everyone else hesitated. Quick thinking is not about knowing everything. It's about using what you know with courage. You can prepare for hours, but in the end, it's your presence that decides the moment. Every conversation is a dance between logic and intuition. Logic gives structure. Intuition gives timing. You can't always calculate the right answer, but you can feel it if you're grounded. And that grounding comes from trust. Practice expressing your thoughts out loud. The more your voice aligns with your mind, the less delay there is between thinking and speaking. Your voice is a muscle. If you don't use it, it freezes under pressure. Speak often. Speak freely, even when no one's watching. That's how fluency is born, through flow, not force. In fast moments, your words follow your mental rhythm. If your rhythm is tense, your words stumble. If your rhythm is relaxed, your message lands. Quick thinking thrives in a mind that's uncluttered. So simplify, declutter your thoughts daily. Write, reflect, release what doesn't serve you. A calm mind is fast because it's free. The secret to speaking smart is not speaking fast. It's thinking clearly under fire. That clarity makes people trust you. They see someone who stays centered when others lose control. And that steadiness, that inner silence, creates authority. The psychology behind it is simple. Your brain reflects your emotions. If your emotion is calm, your thinking stays sharp. If your emotion is fear, your thinking collapses. So every time you speak under pressure, you're not fighting the situation. You're balancing yourself. Think of communication like breathing. Inhale, understanding. Exhale, expression. The more naturally you flow between the two, the faster and smarter you sound. Quick thinking is not a gift. It's a habit. It's the result of thousands of small, calm decisions made when panic wanted to take over. It's a mindset that says, I don't need to control everything. I just need to stay aware. That awareness gives you speed without rush. It gives you wisdom without hesitation. You become the person who can answer calmly, lead confidently, and adapt instantly. That's real communication intelligence. So train your calm, trust your thoughts, and speak from clarity, not from fear. Because the moment you stop trying to be fast, you finally start to sound smart. Chapter 2. The power of presence in every conversation. Most people talk. Very few are present. You can speak for hours and still not connect. But a few words, spoken with full presence, can move mountains. Presence is not about attention. It's about connection. It's the ability to be completely in the moment. Not in your head, not in your fear, not in your next sentence, but right here, now, with the person in front of you. When you're truly present, people feel it. They relax. They open up. They trust you. Because presence carries energy. It says, I see you. You matter. That's why great communicators don't rush. They don't fill silence. They don't force understanding. They create space and let others feel safe enough to step into it. Presence is invisible, but undeniable. You can't fake it. You either have it, or you don't. And when you don't, people sense it immediately. They can tell when your eyes are on them, but your mind is elsewhere. They can feel when your body is there, but your attention isn't. In that moment, communication breaks. Not because of words, but because of energy. Presence is emotional discipline. It's the ability to quiet the noise inside you so you can actually hear what's in front of you. When your mind is scattered, your responses are too. But when your focus is whole, your words find power. That's the secret. You don't need to talk more to communicate better. You just need to be more present when you do. In a distracted world, presence is rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. The person who listens with full attention stands out. Because no one does it anymore. Everyone's multitasking, half listening, half scrolling, half caring. But when you give someone your full attention, you give them something sacred, validation. Presence is not loud. It's calm. It's quiet confidence. It's the feeling of safety you bring into the room. People don't need you to fix them. They just need to feel seen. And when they feel seen, they start to trust your words. That's how leaders inspire. That's how great communicators influence. Presence makes ordinary words feel important, because the emotion behind them is pure. You can say, "I understand," in two ways. One from habit, one from heart. The first one is noise. The second one is connection. To develop presence, start by slowing down. Stop rushing to reply. Stop planning your next sentence while the other person is still speaking. Just listen. Not to reply, but to understand. Your silence isn't empty, it's powerful. It tells people you're here with them, not just near them. Eye contact builds presence. It doesn't need to be intense. It needs to be steady. When your eyes meet theirs with genuine calm, you send a signal. I'm with you. You're safe to speak. Your body language also speaks presence. Uncross your arms. Lean slightly forward. Keep your posture open. These small gestures tell the other person, I'm not judging, I'm listening. Presence is not performance. It's authenticity. It's being so comfortable in your skin that your stillness becomes strength. You don't need to fill every moment with words. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Let the silence breathe. Let the person think. Let the message sink in. Most people fear silence. But silence, when filled with presence, feels peaceful, not awkward. It gives depth to your communication. Presence also changes how you speak. When you're grounded, your tone slows. Your voice deepens. Your words carry weight. You don't sound rushed. You sound real, and real is unforgettable. At work, presence is leadership. The calmest person in the room always holds the most influence. People trust calm energy. It signals strength, without aggression. In heated meetings, presence turns chaos into clarity. While others react, the present mind responds. It listens longer, speaks slower, then moves the conversation forward. Presence isn't passive. It's active awareness. It's noticing everything. Words, tone, tension, energy. You learn to sense what's not being said. You pick up the emotion behind the logic. That awareness gives you power to guide, not just reply. Every time you speak with presence, you teach others to do the same. You slow down the rush of misunderstanding. You remind people what real communication feels like. And slowly, that presence becomes your signature. People start saying, "You're easy to talk to. What you said made sense. I feel calm around you." That's not an accident. That's presence. It's your emotional stability transferring into their nervous system. It's science wrapped in empathy. To think fast, you must first be still. That's the paradox of smart communication. The more grounded you are, the quicker your mind connects ideas. The more relaxed you are, the sharper your words sound. Presence isn't built overnight. It's built in small, mindful moments. Before a meeting, breathe. Before a presentation, center yourself. Before a conversation, clear your distractions. Don't enter with your phone in hand or your mind on yesterday. Enter as if this moment deserves your full attention. Because it does. Every conversation is a chance to make someone feel human again. And presence is the bridge that makes it possible. Think of your presence like light. You don't need to shout to be noticed. You just need to shine steadily. When your energy is steady, your words carry warmth instead of tension. People lean toward you instead of away. You stop chasing respect. You start attracting it. That's what presence does. It pulls, not pushes. It invites trust. It builds safety. It leaves an aftertaste of peace. The power of presence lies not in what you say, but in how fully you show up when you say it. Be there, fully, completely, Because the truth is, your attention is the greatest gift you can ever give. And in a world that's constantly distracted, presence is the new form of power. When you master it, your communication transforms, your relationships deepen, your influence multiplies, and people remember you, not for how fast you spoke, but for how present you made them feel. That's the art, that's the secret, that's the power of presence. Chapter 3. How to stay calm while speaking under pressure. Pressure exposes truth. It doesn't change you, it reveals you. In calm moments, everyone sounds confident. But when eyes are watching, when silence fills the room, when your heart starts to race and your breath grows short, that's when real communication is tested. Staying calm while speaking under pressure isn't a gift. It's a skill, a practiced discipline of the mind, body and breath. The secret lies in awareness, not avoidance, because pressure will always come. In meetings, in interviews, in presentations, in unexpected questions that demand answers. You can't escape pressure, but you can train your body not to fear it. The moment pressure rises, your nervous system wakes up, your heartbeat quickens, your mouth dries, your hands shake. It's not weakness. It's biology. Your brain thinks you're in danger. It prepares you to fight or flee. But communication isn't war. It's connection. So, the first step to calmness is telling your body, I'm safe. Take a deep breath. Not shallow, not rushed. Deep and slow. The breath is the bridge between panic and peace. When you control your breath, you control your voice. A steady breath creates a steady tone, and a steady tone creates a steady presence. The second step is focus. Most people panic, not because of what's happening, but because of what they imagine might happen. What if I forget my words? What if they judge me? What if I mess up? All these thoughts pull you away from the moment. And that's where anxiety grows, in imagination, not in reality. When you speak, your mind should live only in the present, not in the outcome, not in the audience's reaction, just in the message. Shift your focus from yourself to your purpose. Don't think, I'm being watched. Think, I'm sharing something that matters. That shift turns fear into service. It turns pressure into presence. Calmness doesn't mean the absence of nerves. It means the presence of control. Every great speaker still feels pressure. They just don't let it decide their rhythm. They breathe through it. They lean into it. They let it sharpen, not shatter, their focus. The third step is rhythm. Your speaking rhythm reflects your mental state. When your mind races, your words stumble. When your mind slows, your words land. That's why pausing is power. Most people fear silence, but silence under pressure shows mastery. It tells the audience I'm in control. When you pause, you give your brain a chance to breathe. You allow your words to carry weight. You give your listeners time to process. Pausing doesn't make you look lost. It makes you look confident. The best speakers know how to use silence as punctuation. They let their message echo in the stillness. And in that stillness, they regain control. Calmness also lives in your body. Your posture tells your brain how to feel. If you stand tense, your mind stays tense. But if you open your shoulders, stand tall, breathe deeply, your brain interprets confidence. Your body leads. Your mind follows. So, before you speak, adjust your stance. Root your feet firmly on the ground. Imagine the floor holding you up. That grounding makes your body a channel of calm. When pressure builds, avoid fidgeting. Stillness creates authority. Let your gestures flow naturally. Not too big, not too small. Every movement should follow meaning. That alignment between words and body builds trust. Your tone also carries calmness. A rushed tone creates stress. A low, steady tone builds peace. Lower your pitch slightly. Speak slower than usual. Give your words time to breathe. Pressure fades when rhythm replaces rush. But calmness under pressure isn't only physical, it's mental clarity too. Prepare your mind before the moment comes. Visualize success, not failure. See yourself speaking clearly. See people nodding, listening, connecting. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you rehearse calm, you build a memory of peace. And when pressure arrives, that memory becomes your anchor. Confidence grows in repetition. The more you face pressure, the less it scares you. Speak often, even in small settings. Every small success trains your nervous system for bigger moments. Remember, fear fades with familiarity. What once terrified you becomes normal. Another way to stay calm is to accept imperfection. You don't have to sound flawless. You just have to sound real. People don't expect perfection. They expect authenticity. When you drop the need to impress, you drop the fear of failure. The best communicators know how to laugh at mistakes. They don't let errors ruin their message. They recover gracefully. A calm recovery is more powerful than a perfect delivery. Pressure tries to shrink your voice. Don't let it. Expand through it. Take up space, not with ego, but with presence. Because presence under pressure feels like authority. When you look comfortable, people feel comfortable. When you sound certain, people believe you. That's how calmness spreads, from one steady heart to an entire room. It's not about acting fearless. It's about feeling prepared. Preparation gives your mind evidence that you can handle it. Every time you practice, you plant proof, and that proof becomes confidence. So, when pressure strikes, you don't rely on luck. You rely on habit. Calmness becomes muscle memory. You breathe slower. You think clearer. You speak smoother. Because your body has learned, I've been here before. I know this. Pressure fades when familiarity grows, and every calm response rewires your brain to trust itself again. When you master this, you become unstoppable under pressure. People notice the difference. They see your steadiness. They feel your presence. They listen, not because you're loud, but because you're collected. Calmness is the quiet strength of true communicators. Anyone can speak well in peace, but few can stay composed in chaos. When you do, you earn trust that no title or talent can buy, because calmness is confidence, and confidence is clarity in motion. When you can breathe through pressure, you turn fear into focus. You turn stress into strength. That's how professionals rise. That's how leaders lead. That's how communicators connect. So, the next time pressure visits, welcome. Let it sharpen your awareness. Let it remind you that you're alive. And let your calm voice cut through the noise like still water. Because calm under pressure isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. Chapter 4. The Science of Body Language. Before you ever say a word, your body speaks. It tells your story. It reveals your confidence, your energy, your emotions. People believe what they see more than what they hear. That's the science of body language. Every movement sends a message. Every gesture creates an impression, and every posture shapes how others perceive you. Communication isn't only verbal, it's visual. Words may express ideas, but body language expresses truth. You can fake words. You can't fake energy. The human brain is wired to read faces, tones, and gestures before it processes meaning. Within seconds, people decide whether to trust, like, or believe you. Not by your speech, but by your stance. That's why mastering body language is mastering presence. When you walk into a room, your posture speaks before you do. Your shoulders tell whether you're confident or closed. Your eyes tell whether you're sure or unsure. Your movement tells whether you're ready or hiding. The way you carry yourself controls how the world carries you. Confidence doesn't come from words. It comes from energy alignment, when your inner state matches your outer form. A confident body doesn't need noise. It commands attention through calm. Let's break it down, not in steps or rules, but through awareness. Start with posture. The spine is the backbone of confidence, literally and emotionally. When you stand tall, your brain registers power. When you slouch, it registers defeat. A strong posture tells your nervous system, I belong here. That message alone changes how you sound, breathe, and think. Straighten your back. Relax your shoulders. Keep your head level, not tilted down. Root your feet firmly. That's how the body finds balance, and the mind follows. Now let's talk about eyes. Eye contact is connection. It's not a stare, it's awareness. When you look someone in the eyes with calm, steady focus, you create trust without a single word. But too much eye contact feels aggressive. Too little feels insecure. Balance is key. Look, pause, glance away, then return. That rhythm mirrors conversation. It feels natural. Your eyes are your emotional mirrors. They show honesty, confidence, and empathy all at once. And people can sense fake smiles, fake interest, fake attention instantly. So don't perform eye contact. Be present. Presence always looks natural. Next, your hands. Hands reveal comfort or anxiety more than any other part of the body. When you hide them, people subconsciously sense hesitation. When you move them too much, they sense nervous energy. The goal is flow. Gestures that follow meaning. Movements that emphasize emotion, not distract from it. Open palms signal honesty. Closed fists signal defense. Crossed arms signal protection. That's biology. Humans have evolved to read these cues for safety. So when your hands stay open and visible, you communicate safety and trust. Gestures should complement your words, not replace them. When you describe something wide, spread your hands naturally. When you emphasize a key point, slow your movement. When you conclude, lower your hands gently, signaling completion. These are not tricks, they are harmony. Your body and your message must move as one. The greatest communicators in history all shared this harmony. They didn't act powerful. They embodied calm. Their movements were minimal but meaningful. Their stillness spoke volumes. Stillness is not stiffness. It's control. It's knowing that silence and motion are both parts of language. People who fidget often don't realize how it fractures their presence. Every unnecessary movement steals focus from their message. But when you stay still, grounded, and intentional, you draw people in. The science is clear. Your body influences your brain as much as your brain influences your body. Psychologists call it the feedback loop. When you smile, even artificially, your brain releases dopamine. When you stand tall, your body increases testosterone, the hormone of confidence. When you take slow breaths, cortisol, the stress hormone, decreases. That's not magic. That's physiology. Your body creates emotion, not just reacts to it. So use it wisely. Before every conversation, presentation, or interview, don't just prepare your words. Prepare your body. Breathe deeply. Stretch your shoulders. Plant your feet. Smile gently, not to fake happiness, but to remind your brain that you're safe. That 1 minute of physical awareness changes everything.
Now, let's talk about space.
The distance between you and others, that's also communication. Stand too close, and you invade comfort. Stand too far, and you lose connection. Learn to read energy. Notice body tension, eye focus, foot direction. They all signal comfort levels. Adjust your position naturally. It shows emotional intelligence. Mirroring is another silent art. When you subtly reflect the other person's posture, pace, or tone, it builds unconscious rapport. It says, we're on the same wavelength. But mirror with awareness, not mimicry. It's about rhythm, not repetition. Even your breathing matters. People subconsciously sync breathing patterns during meaningful connection. That's the science of resonance, two nervous systems aligning through calm communication. It happens not through words, but through presence. Now think about your tone and micro-expressions. Your voice carries emotion. Your facial tension carries truth. A tight jaw signals stress. A relaxed face signals composure. Before you speak, release your face. Let your jaw soften. Let your eyes rest. Let your shoulders drop. When your body relaxes, your voice opens up, and an open voice builds trust. You sound calm, collected, confident. Body language is also rhythm. Every gesture, pause, and movement should feel musical, not mechanical. When your flow aligns with your message, people remember you, not for what you said, but for how you made them feel. That feeling comes from balance. Too much movement creates chaos. Too little creates distance. Find your middle ground, that natural place where your body supports your message. Remember, your words are only 7% of your message. Your tone is 3%. Your body language is 5%. So, if your body and words disagree, people will always believe your body. That's why sincerity is everything. If you don't believe what you're saying, your body will betray you. Confidence is not performance. It's alignment. It's truth expressed physically, and people recognize truth instantly. To master body language, you don't need to act like someone else. You need to become aware of yourself. Awareness is mastery. When you notice your own posture, tone, and movement, you gain control over them. And when you gain control, you project calmness, not chaos. The science behind this is deep, but the essence is simple. Your body speaks your emotional language before your mind does. So, train it, refine it. Let it represent your confidence before your words even arrive. When you enter a room, walk with purpose, not pride. When you speak, let your body match your message. When you listen, let your stillness show attention. That's how body language becomes communication, not decoration. The more aware you become, the more authentic you sound. The more authentic you sound, the more influence you gain. Because in the end, people don't remember perfect sentences. They remember how you felt. And that feeling comes from your presence, your posture, your peace. Words may end, but energy lingers. And body language, that's the energy people never forget. Chapter 5. The power of listening to understand, not to reply. Most people don't listen. They wait. They wait for their turn to speak. They nod politely, but their mind is busy forming a response. Their focus isn't on understanding, it's on defending. That's why so many conversations collapse. Because no one is actually listening. Listening is not hearing. It's presence. It's awareness. It's patience in action. To truly listen is to silence your ego long enough to let someone else exist fully in your attention. That's rare. That's powerful. When someone feels heard, they feel seen. And when they feel seen, they trust. Trust is the foundation of all communication. Listening is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence in motion. You don't lose power by listening. You gain it. Because listening gives you access to understanding that others miss. In every conversation, there are two layers, the words being said and the meaning beneath them. If you only hear the surface, you respond to noise. But if you listen deeply, you respond to truth. Listening is not about waiting for silence. It's about entering another person's reality. It's empathy without interruption. You listen with your eyes. You listen with your posture. You listen with your calm. Every nod, every pause, every gentle silence says, "I'm here. Keep going." That's how people open up. That's how communication transforms. The best communicators in the world are not the best talkers. They're the best listeners. They understand that listening builds understanding faster than speaking ever could. When you listen, you gather context. You sense emotion. You see patterns in tone and pace. You begin to read not just what's said but what's meant. Listening creates clarity. Clarity creates connection. And connection That's what makes communication human. When you speak too soon, you speak from assumption. But when you listen first, you speak from wisdom. That's the difference between reaction and response. A reaction is emotional. A response is intelligent. You can't respond intelligently without listening deeply. In the modern world, everyone's distracted. Phones buzz. Notifications blink. Attention is currency, and very few spend it generously. That's why deep listening feels sacred. When someone gives you their full attention, it feels healing. It feels rare. You don't just hear their words, you feel their care. Listening is the language of respect, and respect changes everything. At work, most conflicts come from misunderstanding. Not because people disagree, but because they never listened long enough to truly understand each other. One sentence missed, one tone misread, and trust starts to fade. Listening prevents that. It slows the moment down. It allows space for meaning to unfold. That's why patience is the backbone of listening. When you rush, you interrupt. When you interrupt, you break connection. The mind that listens is the mind that learns. When you speak, you repeat what you already know. When you listen, you discover what you don't. Every great leader, mentor, or negotiator listens before they speak, because they know information is power, and listening is how you collect it. You can't persuade someone you don't understand, and you can't understand someone you don't listen to. So listening isn't just kindness, it's strategy. In business, it's how trust is built. In relationships, it's how love is kept. In leadership, it's how influence grows. Real listening requires stillness inside. It's not about keeping your mouth shut. It's about quieting your inner noise. When you listen, your mind will want to respond, fix, or compare. Let that go. Don't think about what you'll say next. Think about what they mean now. Sometimes people don't need advice. They need understanding. You don't always have to fix the problem. Sometimes just listening is the solution. When you give someone space to express without judgment, you give them permission to be human. That's the kind of communication that heals. Listening also helps you control your emotions. When you focus on understanding, you stop reacting. You become curious instead of defensive. Curiosity dissolves conflict. If you ever want to calm an argument, don't raise your voice, lower your defense. Listen deeply, ask calmly, reflect clearly. That's how pressure turns into peace. Listening creates balance between ego and empathy. It keeps you grounded, and in that grounded state, your communication gains power. People can feel when you're truly listening. They see it in your eyes. They hear it in your silence. That's the beauty of nonverbal listening. Your energy says, "I'm not here to win, I'm here to understand." That energy changes the room, because energy is contagious. If you stay calm, they calm down. If you stay open, they open up. This is the emotional physics of communication. Listening regulates emotion, yours and theirs. It's not passive, it's active awareness. True listening takes strength. It means holding space for discomfort. It means staying patient through silence. It means hearing things you might not like, but staying open anyway. That's maturity. That's mastery. Listening to understand requires humility. You admit, maybe I don't know everything. And in that humility, you grow. Growth never happens while talking. It happens while absorbing. That's how wisdom builds, through attention. Your goal is not to win conversations. It's to connect through them, to turn listening into leadership. The more you listen, the more people trust you. The more they trust you, the more influence you gain. Because influence is built on understanding, not authority. When people feel understood, they stop resisting you. They start cooperating with you. That's emotional power. Listening is how you lead without force. It's how you earn respect without demanding it. And it starts with awareness, catching yourself when your mind drifts, pulling your focus back to the speaker. Ask yourself, What is this person really trying to say? Sometimes the emotion behind the words tells you more than the words themselves. Tone is truth. Listen for tone. Listen for silence. Listen for hesitation. People reveal everything, not through speech, but through rhythm. Listening trains you to sense that rhythm, to pick up what others miss. And when you can do that, you communicate on a higher level. You no longer just talk. You connect. You no longer just answer. You understand. Listening transforms relationships. It softens the toughest people. It bridges the widest gaps. Because listening says, I respect you, even if I disagree with you. And that kind of respect creates peace. So, the next time you enter a conversation, don't rush to speak. Pause, breathe, focus. Make your goal to understand, not to respond. Because in the end, the one who listens the best always speaks the smartest. Chapter 6. The Secret of Tone. Timing and emotion in speech. Words carry meaning, but tone carries emotion. And emotion, that's what people remember. You can say the same sentence 10 different ways and get 10 different reactions. Because communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Your tone can calm a storm or start one. It can inspire trust or trigger resistance. It can make your message powerful or powerless. Tone is the invisible color of communication. It paints your words with emotion. It tells people how you feel, even when your words don't. That's why mastering tone is mastering influence. You can have the best script, the perfect logic, but if your tone doesn't match your message, people won't believe you. The human brain doesn't analyze tone, it feels it. Within milliseconds, it decides whether to trust, resist, or connect. That's the secret behind emotional communication. Your voice reaches the heart before your words reach the mind. So if you want to move people, don't just speak to their intellect, speak to their emotion. Tone is vibration. It's energy translated through sound. It's the rhythm of confidence, the melody of emotion. When your tone carries calm authority, people feel safe listening to you. When your tone carries irritation, people start defending themselves. Your tone teaches others how to feel in your presence. That's why emotionally intelligent communicators always monitor not just what they say, but how they say it. Let's break it down not in rules but in awareness. When you speak with warmth, your words sound human. When you speak with sharpness, they sound like weapons. The same truth, delivered differently, changes destiny. Tone and timing go hand in hand. Tone is emotion. Timing is patience. Timing gives tone its power. You can have the right words, but if your timing is wrong, the message collapses. Timing is the space between emotion and expression. It's knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when silence says more than sound. Great communicators are masters of rhythm. They don't rush their sentences. They don't fill every gap with noise. They understand that silence is not emptiness, it's impact. A pause before a key line makes people listen. A quiet moment after a deep truth makes people feel. That's the art of timing. It's emotional pacing. You don't need to speak faster to sound smart. You need to speak smoother to sound wise. Your voice is an instrument, and every conversation is a performance. The tone is your melody, the timing is your rhythm, the emotion is your harmony. Together, they create connection. When your tone is calm, your timing steady, and your emotion real, your message lands with clarity and power. Emotion doesn't mean drama, it means truth. People don't want perfect delivery, they want genuine feeling. If your voice carries sincerity, you don't need perfection, you just need presence. Emotion gives your words life. It tells your listener, this matters to me, and it should matter to you. That's how people connect. Emotion makes your tone magnetic. You can't fake it, you can only feel it. When you speak from authenticity, your tone automatically aligns with truth. That's why fake enthusiasm never works. People can hear it. They can feel the disconnect between your words and your energy. But when you speak from the heart, even a whisper sounds powerful. Emotion doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. Your voice has layers: pitch, pace, and power. Pitch is the frequency of feeling. Pace is the rhythm of delivery. Power is the intensity of emotion. When all three align, you sound confident, controlled, and credible. A voice too flat loses emotion. A voice too fast loses impact. A voice too loud loses empathy. Balance is mastery. Slow down when emotion deepens. Lower your tone when delivering truth. Rise slightly when showing enthusiasm. That variation keeps listeners engaged. Monotone kills connection. Dynamic tone creates movement. Because the human ear craves rhythm, the rise and fall of sound, the breath between words, the pulse of emotion behind speech. That's what keeps attention alive. Now let's talk about timing in real moments. When you feel nervous, you rush. When you rush, you lose power. Pressure shortens breath. Short breath shortens thought. And short thought shortens impact. The calmest communicators are not born calm. They pause. They breathe. They let silence shape the moment before speaking. That small pause gives their brain clarity and gives their tone depth. Timing is also empathy. It's knowing when the other person is ready to receive your message. You can't pour wisdom into a storm. Wait for calm. Then speak. Emotionally intelligent timing respects space. It respects energy. It senses when to pause, when to emphasize, when to slow down and let words land. The best communicators are sensitive to energy shifts. They know when to speak and when to hold. They read the emotional temperature of the room and adjust their delivery accordingly. That awareness is the invisible power of connection. Your voice tone must follow emotional flow, not fight it. If the room feels tense, speak softer. If it feels disengaged, add energy. If it feels heavy, add light. That adaptability is emotional precision. The science behind this is fascinating. When your tone carries calm frequencies, it lowers the listener's heart rate. When your voice carries tension, it raises cortisol, the stress hormone. That means your voice literally changes how others feel, biologically. A steady voice can regulate an entire room. That's the neuroscience of tone. Your voice is not just sound, it's vibration that syncs nervous systems. That's why some leaders calm chaos just by speaking, and some create chaos with one sentence. It's not their words, it's their tone. Emotionally intelligent communication is emotional regulation through sound. That's mastery. To train your tone, listen to yourself. Record. Reflect. Adjust. Notice how you sound under stress. Notice how you sound when confident. Then learn to bring that confident tone into every moment. Confidence doesn't mean volume. It means ease. Speak like you trust yourself. Because if you don't, no one else will. And when you trust your message, your timing becomes natural. You no longer rush to be heard. You let your words travel at the pace of calm. Emotion guides your audience's attention. Raise your tone slightly when excitement rises. Slow your pace when meaning deepens. Pause when emotion peaks. That's rhythm. That's flow. And flow makes words feel alive. Timing is not mechanical. It's emotional sensitivity. You can't learn it from a book. You learn it from presence. When you're fully present, you feel when to speak and when to wait. You read eyes, breath, posture, the unspoken signs that guide rhythm. That awareness creates harmony. Communication is music. And when you learn the music of tone, timing, and emotion, you don't just speak, you move people. That's how influence begins, not through louder words, but through deeper feeling. The voice that carries emotion carries memory. People forget your facts, but they remember how your tone made them feel. They remember your calm, your empathy, your rhythm, because tone tells truth. and emotion leaves echo. That's why the greatest communicators are not just skilled speakers, they're emotional storytellers. They use tone like color. They use silence like punctuation. They use emotion like light. Every word they speak feels alive, because they speak from alignment. The secret of tone, timing, and emotion isn't in imitation. It's in authenticity. Be aware. Be patient. Be real. Your words are sound. Your tone is soul. Your emotion is life. Together they form the language that hearts understand even when minds don't. That's not just communication. That's art.
Chapter 7. The Art of Handling Difficult Conversations.
No one enjoys difficult conversations. They tighten the chest. They dry the mouth. They stir the heart with tension. But they're part of life, part of leadership, part of love. The ability to face uncomfortable conversations defines your maturity. Because communication isn't just about expressing happiness. It's about handling discomfort with grace. Anyone can speak well when things are easy. But true mastery shows up when emotions rise, when opinions clash, when silence feels heavier than words. That's where growth lives. A difficult conversation isn't an obstacle. It's an opportunity to understand, to build trust, to show composure. When you can stay calm while tension burns, you gain respect that loudness can't buy. The first rule of difficult conversation: don't enter to win. Enter to understand. Most people approach conflict like combat. They come armed with words, ready to defend, ready to prove, ready to dominate. But communication is not war. It's collaboration. If you enter to attack, you'll lose peace. If you enter to connect, you'll gain clarity. The goal is not victory, it's resolution. Difficult conversations break when ego enters first. Ego wants to be right. Empathy wants to make it right. That difference changes everything. Before you speak, calm your body. Breathe. Slow your pulse. Center your tone. Because when emotions drive your words, logic disappears. You can't speak clearly from chaos. Emotional regulation is your first weapon of wisdom. Take a moment. Even silence can reset energy. Let your thoughts settle before your voice rises. Then begin softly, not with blame, with presence. Start with understanding. Say, "I'd like to talk about this because it matters." That single sentence removes tension. It tells the other person your intention is peace, not punishment. The way you open decides how the rest unfolds. If you begin with accusation, they'll defend. If you begin with understanding, they'll listen. It's human nature. Our brains mirror emotion. When you're calm, you create calm. When you're defensive, you create defense. So lead with calm. Difficult conversations require awareness. Awareness of your emotion, their emotion, and the emotion between you. There are always three conversations happening: what you say, what they hear, and what both of you feel. Master all three. Your words should be clear. Your tone should be kind. Your energy should be steady. Because people don't just hear words. They feel intention. Even if your message is hard, your tone can make it gentle. That's emotional intelligence in action. You can deliver truth without cruelty. You can disagree without disrespect. That balance is art. Clarity matters. Don't dance around the point. Be direct, but not sharp. Unclear messages create confusion, and confusion creates resentment. When you're honest with care, people may not like what you say, but they'll respect how you said it. That's leadership through communication. In a heated conversation, never rush to respond. Pause before reacting. The moment you feel your heart racing, you've already left the present. Return. Breathe. Listen. Listening is your anchor. Let them speak. Let them express. Even if you disagree, don't interrupt. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strength under control. When you listen deeply, you diffuse emotional charge. Because most people don't want to fight. They want to be heard. Once they feel heard, they stop shouting. Your calm presence teaches the room how to communicate. You set the emotional tone. So be the balance. Use soft language during hard topics. Instead of saying you're wrong, say I see it differently. Instead of you always do this, say I've noticed this pattern. Can we talk about it? Replace blame with curiosity. Replace judgment with inquiry. Ask questions like, what do you think would help? How did this situation make you feel? Questions calm conflict. They shift focus from emotion to solution. That's the art. Your goal is not to dominate emotion. It's to direct it. Emotion is energy. Guide it wisely. When you feel anger rising, lower your tone. Slow your pace. People match energy. If you stay soft, they'll soften too. But if you escalate, you both lose control. Remember, calmness under fire is power. Sometimes, despite your calm, the other person may stay defensive. That's okay. You can't control their energy. You can only control yours. You can always choose peace, even when others choose pressure. And that choice gives you dignity. Difficult conversations also need timing. Never start serious talks in chaos. Wait for calm. Choose privacy. Public conversations trigger pride. Private ones invite honesty. Choose setting. Like a surgeon chooses a tool. With care, the right timing saves relationships. And when it's your turn to speak, speak from facts, not feelings. Feelings are valid, but they're not evidence. State what happened, not what you assumed. Say, when this occurred, I felt, instead of you made me feel. That small shift turns accusation into awareness. It moves the conversation from blame to understanding. Remember, people can argue with opinions, but not with experiences. Your truth doesn't need to attack to be heard. Stay rooted in what's real. And if the conversation turns emotional, don't run from it. Emotion doesn't ruin communication. Suppression does. Allow space for it. Stay compassionate through it. Sometimes people cry. Sometimes they go silent. Let them. That's processing. Your presence is enough. After all, difficult conversations are not about perfection. They're about healing. Healing miscommunication. Healing misunderstanding. Healing distance. Even if you don't solve everything, you can still leave peace behind. End with clarity. End with calm. End with appreciation. Say thank you for sharing. It sounds simple, but it restores dignity to the moment. Every hard talk deserves a soft ending, because endings shape memory. People don't remember every word you said. They remember how you made them feel when the words were over. Leave them with respect, even if you disagree. That's what separates professionals from amateurs, leaders from followers, healers from fighters. The art of handling difficult conversations isn't in perfect words. It's in controlled emotions. When you can stand in the middle of chaos and speak gently, you rise above noise. People start trusting you with truth. They start opening up because your calm feels safe. And when people feel safe, they become honest. That honesty repairs relationships. So embrace difficult conversations. They're not walls, they're doors. Doors to deeper connection. Doors to stronger understanding. Doors to personal growth. You just have to walk through them. With humility, with awareness, with heart. Because in the end, communication isn't about being right. It's about being real. And when you can stay calm, kind, and clear, even when things get hard, you've mastered the art that few ever do. That's not just smart communication. That's wise communication. Chapter 8. Building trust and respect through communication. Trust is the heartbeat of communication. Without it, words fall flat. With it, even silence feels safe. Respect is its twin. One builds connection, the other sustains it. Together, they create relationships that last. In business, in leadership, in friendship, and in love. Every meaningful connection begins with trust, and trust begins with how you communicate. Not what you say, but how you say it. Not how much you talk, but how deeply you listen. Trust is not built in a day. It's built in moments. Moments where your tone stays calm under pressure. Moments where your words match your actions. Moments where your silence means understanding, not avoidance. People don't remember every word you speak, but they always remember how safe they felt around you. Safety is the foundation of trust, and your communication creates that safety. When you speak truthfully, people may not always agree with you, but they will respect you. When you hide behind polite dishonesty, you might keep peace for a moment, but you lose respect forever. Honesty is hard, but it's the only language trust understands. Every time you choose clarity over comfort, you strengthen your credibility. Because trust doesn't grow in perfection. It grows in consistency. Your words must match your behavior. Your promises must meet your follow-through. That's how respect forms, not through authority, but through alignment. People trust what they experience, not what they're told. So be the same person in every room. Speak with the same integrity when no one's watching. Keep your tone kind, even when you disagree. That consistency is power. Trust is not declared. It's demonstrated. It's built in the smallest gestures. When you remember details, when you keep confidences, when you listen without judgment. Trust doesn't demand loyalty. It earns it, and respect is its reflection. When people feel seen and valued, they naturally give respect in return. Respect is not fear. It's acknowledgement. It's recognizing someone's worth, even when you don't share their view. To build trust and respect, you must communicate from humility. Speak like you have something to share, not something to prove. Pride blocks connection. Humility invites it. When your voice carries calm assurance instead of arrogance, people listen. They trust those who make them feel understood, not those who make them feel small. That's the secret. Trust is emotional safety and sound. You don't have to agree with everyone to earn their respect. You just have to treat them like they matter. Disagreement handled with dignity deepens trust, because it shows maturity. When you can hold opposing opinions without hostility, you create a bridge between minds. That's communication at its highest level. It's not about who's right. It's about what's real. And what's real is human. Trust grows where truth is spoken gently. Respect grows where listening is genuine. Every time you choose kindness over cleverness, you strengthen both. In the workplace, trust is the invisible contract that keeps teams alive. It makes collaboration smooth. It makes correction possible. Without trust, even talent fails. With it, even mistakes become lessons. Because trust turns fear into feedback. When people trust you, they listen to your criticism without defense. They know your intent is growth, not harm. That's emotional leadership. Trust allows honesty to sound like help, not attack. That's why great communicators always build trust before they speak truth. They don't lead with authority. They lead with authenticity. Authenticity is the seed of both trust and respect. When you speak with honesty and empathy, your words carry weight. Because authenticity is rare. People are tired of perfect speeches. They crave real voices. Voices that sound human. Voices that admit mistakes. Voices that speak with heart, not ego. You don't have to be flawless to be trusted. You just have to be sincere. When you say "I don't know," you earn more respect than when you pretend to. Honesty is magnetic. It attracts belief. When your communication aligns with your truth, your credibility multiplies. Respect is the response the world gives you when your words and actions stay true. Trust is not a strategy, it's a feeling. You can't demand it. You can only inspire it. And you inspire it by being emotionally consistent. If your tone changes with mood, people stop relying on you. If your reactions stay steady, People start trusting you. Your calm becomes their comfort. Your clarity becomes their compass. That's how trust spreads, quietly, through consistency. Respect grows the same way. When you treat people with dignity, even when they're wrong, even when they fail, you build loyalty that no position can buy. Respect doesn't flow from titles. It flows from behavior. You can't speak down to someone and expect to rise. Every tone carries either power or poison. Use yours wisely. When you talk to people, not at them. You build bridges instead of walls. Respect is not demanded, it's reflected. You get back what you give. So speak with the energy you want returned. Trust grows in transparency. When you hide less, you connect more. People respect honesty more than perfection. Say the truth kindly, even when it's uncomfortable. Courage in communication creates clarity, and clarity creates confidence. The most respected voices are those who tell the truth without losing tenderness. They correct without humiliating. They disagree without demeaning. They guide without controlling. That's emotional strength. Trust and respect are emotional currencies. They take time to earn and seconds to lose. So guard them carefully. Never lie to protect comfort. Never shout to demand attention. Never manipulate to gain control, because control fades, but credibility lasts. If you lose control, you lose respect. If you lose respect, your words lose weight. People may still hear you, but they won't follow you. That's why trust is leadership's foundation. Every great communicator earns respect through patience. They speak less. They listen more. They choose honesty over flattery. Flattery sounds good. Truth feels good. And people always come back to what feels real. Trust also comes from vulnerability. When you open up, you invite others to do the same. It's not weakness. It's courage. Vulnerability says, I'm human too. And that simple message breaks walls faster than logic ever could. Respect those who disagree with you. They sharpen your understanding. They test your patience. They reveal your character. You don't build trust by surrounding yourself with agreement. You build it by learning to hold space for difference. The more respect you give, the less conflict you face. Because respect softens even the hardest hearts. When you combine trust and respect in your communication, you become unshakable. People start listening not just to your words, but to your energy. They sense truth. They feel integrity. And that's something you can't fake. Trust is built in silence and proven in speech. Respect is built in action and reflected in tone. Together they form the language of leadership. So build them daily. Speak with intention. Listen with empathy. Act with integrity. Because every conversation either builds or breaks one of these two. And the person who learns to protect them never loses influence. That's the power of trust. That's the strength of respect. And that's the heart of real communication. Chapter 9. Speaking with clarity and confidence. Clarity is power. Confidence is presence. When you combine both, your words stop being noise. They become influence. Most people speak to be heard. Few speak to be understood. The difference is clarity. Clarity is not about complicated language. It's about clean thinking. It's about expressing what you mean without hiding behind fancy words. The clearer you think, the clearer you sound. That's where confidence begins, not in volume, but in understanding. You can't speak clearly about something you don't truly understand. That's why the first step to speaking with confidence is to organize your thoughts before opening your mouth. A cluttered mind creates tangled sentences. A calm mind creates powerful ones. Clarity is preparation turned into presence. When you know what you want to say, you no longer rush. You no longer fill gaps with the and. You speak from certainty. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's calm assurance. It's not shouting to be noticed. It's speaking so clearly that no one can ignore you. A confident communicator doesn't compete for attention. They command it quietly. Because real confidence doesn't chase validation. It creates understanding. Clarity makes your voice memorable. Confidence makes your message believable. Together, they make communication magnetic. Think about how your words land. Do they move people forward or leave them confused? Every great communicator filters before they speak. They remove extra noise. They choose simplicity over complexity. Simplicity is not weakness, it's wisdom. When your message is clear, your tone softens. When your tone softens, your confidence strengthens. Because confidence doesn't come from trying harder, it comes from meaning every word you say. People don't remember all your words. They remember the feeling of certainty in your delivery. That certainty begins with breathing. Your breath is the rhythm of confidence. When you breathe deeply before speaking, your voice stabilizes. Your tone becomes grounded. Anxious breath creates anxious sound. Calm breath creates calm authority. That's why confident speakers breathe between thoughts. They let silence carry strength. You don't need to rush. You don't need to fill every second. Pauses don't weaken your message. They highlight it. Every pause gives your listener time to absorb. Every breath reminds your mind it's safe. Confidence is born in stillness, not speed. The art of clarity is the art of simplicity. Use fewer words but make them count. Don't decorate your message, distill it. When you try to sound smart, you sound heavy. When you try to sound real, you sound powerful. A confident communicator doesn't hide behind jargon. They speak in a way anyone can understand. Because clarity is not about intelligence, it's about intention. You speak clearly when your purpose is to connect, not to impress. Every confident speaker carries emotional awareness. They know their tone decides how their truth feels. You can say the right thing the wrong way and lose your listener. So match your tone to your intention. If your message is serious, slow down. If it's inspiring, lift your rhythm. If it's personal, soften your voice. Your tone tells people how to feel your words. Confidence is emotional control. You decide the atmosphere of your message. The clearer your purpose, the steadier your presence. Most people fear speaking not because they lack skill, but because they focus on themselves instead of their message. They think, what if I mess up? What will they think of me? Confidence fades when attention turns inward. Shift your focus outward, toward your listener. Think, how can I serve them through this message? That thought rewires fear into purpose. Purpose neutralizes nerves. It turns pressure into clarity. You stop performing. You start connecting. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to function despite it. Even great speakers feel tension before they speak. They've just learned how to breathe through it, not break under it. Their secret is preparation. Confidence is built before the moment. In practice, in reflection, in repetition. Speak your ideas aloud often. Rehearse not to memorize, but to familiarize. Familiarity dissolves fear. When you've heard your own message 100 times, the stage no longer feels strange. Confidence grows in exposure. Every time you speak, your fear loses strength. Clarity grows in refinement. Every time you simplify your words, your message gains strength. When your voice meets understanding, people listen longer. Because confidence doesn't live in perfection, it lives in presence. Your audience doesn't need flawless delivery. They need authentic energy. Let your tone carry warmth. Let your eyes carry honesty. Let your pace carry calm. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the most aligned. Alignment between your heart, your mind, and your message. That's real clarity. Confidence is trust in your preparation. Clarity is trust in your message. When you trust both, your communication becomes effortless. You flow. You respond. You adapt. Because confidence is flexible, not fixed. It's not built on being perfect. It's built on being prepared to handle imperfection. If you stumble, smile. If you forget a line, breathe. If you lose your rhythm, pause. The crowd won't remember your slip. They'll remember your recovery. Recovery reveals composure, and composure earns respect. Every great speaker knows, clarity is not what you say once, it's what you sustain throughout. Your message should be like clear water, still, simple, and deep. Confidence is not noise, it's presence in silence. When you stop trying to impress, you start to express. And expression, done with heart, always beats perfection done with fear. To speak clearly, you must first think clearly. To think clearly, you must slow down. Stillness precedes strength. The faster the world becomes, the more valuable calm speech sounds, because clarity cuts through chaos. In a noisy world, the calm voice becomes the loudest. Speak from that place. Speak like your words matter. Speak like your truth is enough. Because it is. Confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment between your thoughts, your tone, and your truth. So the next time you speak, don't perform. Communicate. Be simple. Be sincere. Be steady. Because when your words carry clarity, and your tone carries confidence, the world doesn't just hear you, it feels you, and that feeling lasts longer than sound. That's the power of a clear voice. That's the beauty of true confidence. It doesn't need to be loud to be heard. It just needs to be real. Chapter 10. The ultimate flow. Thinking fast. Speaking smart. There's a moment when everything connects, when thought and speech become one motion. When your words stop being planned and start being alive. That moment is called flow. Flow is the space between thinking and reacting, the perfect middle ground, where awareness replaces anxiety and confidence replaces control. It's where you stop overthinking what to say and start trusting what you already know. That's what it means to think fast and speak smart. It's not about being loud or rehearsed. It's about being natural, fluid, and grounded. The smartest communicators aren't those who memorize scripts. They're the ones who can stay calm in chaos and still make sense when pressure hits. Because flow is not speed, it's rhythm. It's presence in motion. When you're in flow, time slows down. Your voice feels balanced. Your thoughts arrive just when you need them. Your body moves with ease. That's the state every communicator should strive for. But flow doesn't come from talent. It comes from trust. Trust in your preparation. Trust in your mind. Trust in your truth. When you trust yourself, you stop chasing perfection. You start expressing authenticity. Every conversation becomes smoother. Every word sounds natural. Every silence feels comfortable. Flow begins with awareness. You can't think fast when your mind is scattered. You can't speak smart when your thoughts are tangled. That's why every moment of clarity starts in calm. Breathe before you speak. That single pause is where flow is born. Because the pause is your space of control. It's your reset button. When you breathe, your brain aligns. When you center yourself, your words find direction. Flow isn't about removing pressure. It's about responding gracefully to it. It's dancing with tension instead of fighting it. That's why the best communicators sound effortless. It's not because life gives them easy moments. It's because they move through hard moments easily. They've learned to stay still inside, even when the world outside is loud. They don't rush to speak. They let meaning lead timing. They let emotion lead tone. Flow is harmony between your mind, body, and message. When all three align, you don't just speak, you transmit. People feel your energy before they process your words. That's the invisible power of aligned communication. To reach this state, you must let go of control. Control kills creativity. It stiffens your tone. It traps your natural rhythm. The mind that wants to control every word never learns to flow. Flow requires trust. It's like a river. It doesn't rush to prove its direction. It just moves with its own current. And that's what makes it powerful. You must learn to think like water, clear, adaptable, and calm. When something blocks your flow, you don't fight it. You move around it. That's emotional intelligence in motion. Thinking fast isn't about forcing quick answers. It's about being mentally ready to adapt. Your brain processes ideas faster when it feels safe. Your confidence becomes speed when panic is gone. To be in flow, you must train your body and mind to stay relaxed. Speak from your breath. Listen with your heart. Respond with your awareness. That's the real rhythm of smart communication. It's not reactive, it's responsive. Reactivity comes from fear. Flow comes from trust. When you trust your instinct, you stop second-guessing your sentences. Your responses feel natural, not rehearsed. That's when your communication becomes art. Think of every great speaker you've ever admired. They don't just speak. They glide. Their tone, timing, and energy move as one. They make complex ideas sound simple. They make pressure look peaceful, because they're not performing. They're flowing. And flow always feels real. But flow is not something you can fake. It grows with practice. The more you communicate mindfully, the more your rhythm finds you. Start with small moments. A meeting, a casual chat, a difficult talk. Notice your breathing. Notice your tone. Notice how your mind rushes to fill silence. Then slow it down. Let stillness become your strategy. Stillness creates awareness. Awareness creates control. Control creates flow. When you reach that point, you'll notice something beautiful. Your thoughts begin to arrive exactly when you need them. You no longer search for words. They find you. That's communication mastery. Because true intelligence isn't knowing everything. It's being calm enough to access what you already know. Flow happens when preparation meets peace. You can't prepare your emotions in the moment. You train them every day. Through reflection, repetition, and mindful communication. Every conversation you handle with patience trains your nervous system. Every pause you take strengthens your control. That's why calm people sound wise. Because their mind is trained to stay clear under pressure. And when your mind is clear, your communication becomes pure. Flow also means letting your words breathe. You don't have to fill every second with sound. You just have to fill every word with meaning. Meaning gives movement. Don't chase eloquence, chase alignment. The smartest communicators use simple language with deep presence. They speak less, but every word lands. That's the balance of fast thinking and smart speaking. Your mind moves quickly, but your delivery stays calm. That's how you control the tempo of any room, because presence slows perception. When you slow down, others start listening deeper. Your calm becomes contagious. Your composure becomes influence. That's real flow. Not speed, not charm, but emotional gravity. When you can think fast and still sound grounded, you become unshakable. The world moves fast. People interrupt. Technology distracts. Noise fills every second. But the one who stays centered, who thinks clearly, and speaks slowly, wins the room. Because peace is the rarest voice in chaos. Flow also demands authenticity. You can't connect if you're pretending. Your words must sound like you. Stop mimicking others. Find your own rhythm, your own sound. The world doesn't need another perfect speaker. It needs real ones. People don't follow perfection. They follow presence. When you speak with your truth, you don't have to try to sound powerful. You become powerful. Because truth carries its own tone. When thought, voice, and purpose align, you enter flow automatically. That's what every great communicator learns. When you stop forcing communication, it starts flowing naturally. So, how do you live in that state? You practice it every day. You slow down when others rush. You breathe when others panic. You listen when others talk. That's how flow begins. Over time, you'll notice something subtle. You stop preparing what to say and start preparing how to be. Because communication isn't just a skill, It's a state of being. When your being is calm, your speech becomes clear. When your mind is present, your voice becomes strong. And when your emotions are steady, your message becomes timeless. That's mastery. Flow is not perfection, it's peace in motion. It's grace under pressure. It's calm wrapped in confidence. It's what happens when you trust your training, trust your timing, and trust yourself. So breathe, speak slowly, feel your rhythm. Let your message carry your heart. Let your silence carry your strength. Because the smartest voice in any room isn't the loudest one. It's the one that moves with ease, thinks with clarity, and speaks with peace. That's the ultimate flow. That's what it means to think fast and speak smart. And once you reach that state, you don't just communicate better, you live better.